A year and a half, 2 years ago, I had been keeping in conversations with, I don't know if you ever heard of this brand, Atlanta Influences Everything. But it's a dude named Bang Joyner, and he has some partners, they out of Atlanta. And I had just hit him up because it's some brands that I look at that are in the vein of which I always want to show me love to be, which is God is Dope, Detroit versus Everybody, Atlanta Influences Everything is one of them, and then Ohio Against the World. In actuality, Ohio Against the World is the first brand that I kind of saw doing what I thought, like, okay, this is it. Now, God is Dope is regional in a different aspect. It doesn't make a play on the name of the city of Atlanta or the area of Atlanta, but just their whole business model. I like it. And World Vision too, out of New Orleans. Those guys are dope. But Tommy Walker Jr. and what he did with Detroit versus Everybody, I think is a business model that people in any city can follow. You know, I just how targeted it was and the way that he did it, I was like, wow, you know. But the way that God is Dope has grown is wild too. But anyway, so I was talking to Bang. We were bouncing ideas back and forth about, because he shaped his Atlanta Influence everything around civics as well. He's working with a civics-based organization. And so he had a lot of intel on funding sources. So he had even sent me a spreadsheet about brands that were trying to partner larger brands, partner with local-based brands for diversity and different things like that. And this was after George Floyd. And then I was having a conversation with him one day, and he was telling me about this thing that Footlocker was doing with a lead program where they were looking at local brands. So I still had some contacts and some information, and I reached out to some people and got to the right person. I told them what I was doing. And at the time, I was kind of pitching a local shoe brand too. So I was kind of showing them both things. And they didn't really bite on the shoe brand, but they were interested in what I was doing with SHOWMELOVE. And so like they sent me an email like 2 weeks later and were like, yo man, post George Floyd, we kind of doing this thing. And we looking for black brands, and we'll provide some funding and possibly some store space. Are you interested? I'm like, absolutely. And so they got back with me with some details and asked me did I have a deck, and asked me did I want to pitch. So I did, and I pitched to some people from Footlocker North America, and they were picking up what I was putting down. I mean, I think they felt that I was passionate about what I was doing. So they opened up the opportunity for me to work with them through this lead program where they were going to invest $200 million into black communities and black brands, and some good people on that team. But you got to remember, it come off the heels of George Floyd, which is like a high intensity event, you know, and it forced a lot of brands to kind of start these initiatives in diversity and inclusion. But you know, it's like a flame, it burns hot and then it kind of gets cold. And I kind of felt like, even though I appreciate what everybody they did, because they helped me tremendously and they were very gracious, they didn't have to do what they did. I felt like the main part that I was really trying to get out of that was to the marketing piece, to really push what SHOWMELOVE was about. But we went through several different iterations of the contract back and forth because, you know, I own my trademark, and there was some stuff in there that was that didn't factor that in, and I just couldn't give up my intellectual property, even though it was a lot more perceived value in the relationship with them and getting some store space. I just believed in it, you know. And so what ended up happening is I said, well, I always wanted to do something more community oriented anyway. So let's kind of change it around. They were like, okay, well, what are your, what's your ideas? I was like, I got a deck ready. And so what I wanted to do is do stuff that would bring in other partners from the community as a springboard that I thought could tell St. Louis and our region story better. So one of them was Dream Builders for Equity. The other one was Brock Seals. And the other one was Drew Brown, AKA the Film Lord, and some other partners. And so what I did is I asked them more so to put up some marketing dollars for me to kind of tell the story. And so that incorporated into a documentary that has several different change makers and decision makers in the area from banking to healthcare, about how St. Louis came to what it is, like over 50 years of disinvestment in the north side and other areas, and how we move forward from that. And people from healthcare that talk about social determinants that cause the violence that we see, and and how these economics play into all that. So that was part of the documentary. And then